The St. Louis Blues had a great win over the New Jersey Devils, and I am feeling very confident about this team. Let's talk about it here on Locked On Blues.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The Blues had a shutout win over the New Jersey Devils. This team is changing, and thankful for part two, because I did make some tweets that I thought were kind of funny, but so relevant to this team and the changes that are currently happening. So I wanted to share that with you guys. It is Thanksgiving today, so I hope everybody is having a very happy Thanksgiving. I hope you spent time with your family, friends, whoever, and just really enjoyed just maybe having some bonding moments, right? But for me personally, I was bonding over the fact that the Blues won with my family today. So for me, that was nice. But you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So last night, the St. Louis Blues were set to play the New Jersey Devils. The Devils, who are leading the Metropolitan and are a really young team that can play great in the offensive zone. Like, they are a team that, relative to tonight, are usually good. Now, I know in the past the Devils have struggled against the Blues. However, last night's game was one of those games where I kind of had to do like a double take sometimes, because I was like, wait, this team is playing atrocious. So here's the thing. The Blues, okay. So let me just put it this way. Markstrom was in net for New Jersey, and he was playing his 500th career game, so Jake Allen wasn't actually playing. But I just want to put that out there because I know some people might have been like, "Oh, was Jake Allen playing?" No. But I will tell you what happened in this game about who scored, because we all know who my favorite player is. If you don't know who my favorite player is, it is Robert Thomas. And the first period is when all the scoring happened. So Robert Thomas, only 9 seconds in, scored right off the bat, and it was a great goal, great feed from Bushi, and gave the Blues a 1-0 lead. Now, this was Robert Thomas's first goal since he returned back to the lineup a few games back. So I was really happy for a multitude of reasons. One, he is my favorite player. Two, it's so Robert Thomas, and I feel like he kind of needed this. He was blending in with some of these secondary assists, but I really needed him to have that moment of, hey, listen, I'm back. This is how good I am. And he was just able to get the puck in the back of the net. 6 minutes later, Dylan Holloway got his 5th goal of the season. And Dylan Holloway, 10 minutes later, got his 6th goal of the season. It was an assist from Jake Neighbors. So the Blues actually only had 20 shots on goal, while the Devils did have 31. But the Blues were doing great in the faceoffs, and they were actually playing like a dominant team. Now, you might be wondering, Haley, why did no one score in the other two periods? And it just was one of those games where there were opportunities, right? But it just was not accumulating to the net. So I'm not surprised necessarily, but it just ended up being that way. So they all scored within that first 20 minutes. So last night, Binnington was in net. And when we spoke prior, we said that if Binnington got one more win, he would be the goaltender in St. Louis Blues history that would end up leading the franchise with the most wins. And after making 31 saves, shutting out New Jersey, he set a new franchise record with 152 wins. And this was a record that he broke that was in place for 39 years. And I am so proud of Binnington. I think that he gets underestimated quite a bit. And it's weird, right? Because he is solid in net. I have to say, there are a lot of good goalies in the NHL, But you can't forget his rookie season, he won the Stanley Cup. Like, he has so much talent. And I think that kind of just, I don't want to say that gets suppressed, but it doesn't get talked about enough about how dominant and how good he truly is. So I was really happy for him. And I'm like, finally. And he posted on Instagram, like a picture of the whole team and him. Bad quality, but he still posted. And it's nice to see him get these victories. I think for him, he is such a humble guy. And even when I speak to him, like, he doesn't give me the whole sense of I'm better than anybody. He just is very to himself. He's focused. And that's how usually goalies are. I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury is like the exception when it comes to goalies that are a little bit out there with, their personality. But Binnington, he does a really good job of just kind of just staying in the moment, staying zoned in. He knows he has a job to do. So being said, I'm just really happy for him. 152 wins since his debut January 2019. He has played 298 regular season games with the Blues. I have to tell you, it's funny with the whole 152, but like when you look at his the breakdown of, his record, he's 152, 103 and 32. He has 2.8 goals against average, and he has a 907 save percentage and 16 shutouts. The 16 shutouts ones is crazy. I thought that number was going to be higher because I was like, oh, that doesn't seem like a lot, but I guess not. By the way, he became the only rookie goaltender in NHL history to record all 16 of his team's playoff victories to win the Stanley Cup championship. And that was incredible because it was his rookie season, 2019. Like, it's so incredible. Binnington is also one of the only 4 active NHL goaltenders to lead their franchise's all-time win list, joining Seattle, Tampa, Winnipeg. So yeah, really cool. And I didn't even say the names of them. Gruber, Vasilevsky, and then Holloway. So I was really happy for Binnington last night. And I just wanted to kind of brag about him for a minute because it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, this is really good. And I just can't go on to say how much I respect Binner and Net. And I know Joel Hofer has said such great things about him. And yeah, I just am extremely proud of him. Here's the thing, right? The third period was the one thing, and I just want to go back on this, where there was a lack of shots. And even in the second period, it was a little bit weak, but it shows kind of why he was so vital. And when the Blues are not shooting, when the Blues are not making good plays, it's really up to their goalie to execute that, right? And I think the Blues having that 3-0 lead just really kind of gave them, I don't want to say a cushion. Well, it was a cushion, but it just gave them room. And again, it's one of those things where it just shows how vital the goalie is, right? But everyone should be very happy and proud of, Jordan last night. And this is now 2-0 for Coach Montgomery behind the bench too, which I was thinking about this. And I was like, wait. If they got rid of him tomorrow, he would be undefeated. No, I'm joking. I know they're not going to do that. But it just goes to show that this team seems to respond to him. And I'm going to talk about that actually because this team is changing in my eyes. I want to talk in more detail because yesterday I said, can this team actually change? Well, what I watched last night, what I'm seeing, online and just like audios, and I listen to it all and I'm crazy and I'm like obsessed with everything Blues related, I do notice a change is happening. So I want to talk to you about that. But first, I want to talk to you about my friends over at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, You can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. I know it's Thanksgiving. Everyone's watching football. I know I was. I had to sit through an awful Giants and Cowboys game. Truly atrocious, right? The Cowboys won 27-20. But right now it is the Packers and Dolphins finishing up that first quarter, and the Packers are up 14-0. So maybe I will place a little live prop right now on the Packers. Or tomorrow's game, it's the Chiefs plus refs versus Raiders. Thank God the Chiefs had their first L of the season. Like, needed that. But yeah, so we have a lot of football. FanDuel.com/LockedOnNHL. The St. Louis Blues are changing, in my opinion. What do I mean by that? Well, let's think about when they began this road trip, okay? They played against the Islanders, and they never could get their foot on the brake. I mean, on the pedal. Not the brake. That was the opposite. They could never get their foot on the pedal. And they were getting outplayed against one of the worst teams, one of the worser teams in the NHL. Not good. Then, boom, all of a sudden Bannister gets fired, and they hire Jim Montgomery. And something shifted because that game against the New York Rangers, a 4-1 win, was unbelievable hockey. The last night, they beat the New Jersey Devils 3-0. What do I think is changing? They used Kelly Chase's shoulder pads now, giving it to the player of the game. There is a culture shift changing within the Blues that I am now observing after 2 games. Now, I know they have yet to go play at home ice in St. Louis. They will on Saturday against the Philadelphia Flyers. But there seems to be just this shift right now. You're on the road. You go through a coaching change, but yet you're playing some pretty good hockey. Your goalie just broke a franchise record. And, oh, yeah, within the past couple games, I mean, did I say 4-1? I meant that's where they lost it. I meant they beat the Rangers 5-2. Sorry. Oh, my Haley doesn't know her hockey. She got her scores messed up. But there just seems to be this shift happening. I want to say that the players kind of have more direction, and maybe not the younger players. I'm talking about the veterans on the team. We know Bannister, he did a lot of stuff with the AHL, with the T-Birds. Got them, honestly, like, he got them to the Calder Cup finals a couple. Like, he's a good AHL coach. No denying that. But with Jim Montgomery, he's so familiar with the guys on the team that are now the vets because he was with them when they were young and developing back in 2020 to 2022. So I feel like he has an idea of them. He knows the direction that this team and Doug Armstrong want to go in. So I feel like he's able to adjust and get things done correctly. And I think players like maybe like a Braden Shen, a Colton Parayko, a Robert Thomas, a Jordan Kyrou, Binnington, like some of the guys that have been around, like Letty. Was Letty around then? I want to say yeah. Or Justin Folk. I don't think Letty was actually. I have to check. But naming some of the guys that have been here, it's one of those things that I do believe that this is what the Blues needed. And I'm checking on Nick Leddy, yeah, because he was with the Blues. He was with him for 1 season. I was right. I did believe I was like, I know that Nick Leddy came over, by the way, from Detroit. He played like 50-something games, like with them. But I knew that, but I was like, wait, it was definitely during 2021. So I was correct. But that's like, it just goes to show that you need a coach that has that NHL experience, a coach that knows how to work with veteran players and star players. And I don't think in any single way that Bannister was setting them up to fail. I don't think that at all. I think the opposite. I think that he was trying to do his best. But it's also hard to give direction when players are maybe not connecting. I don't know what it was. And we may not know. And that's the thing. No player is going to come out and say, oh, yeah, he lost the locker room. Like, they're not going to do that. But when you have a coach within Jim Montgomery who has been here as an assistant, who has coached the Dallas Stars as the head coach, the Boston Bruins, who literally got them the President's Trophy. Like, I'm sorry, that's a big deal. I know they lost to Florida in that first round that year, but that's still a very big deal to get that and to have that accomplishment. Like, to have the best record is insane. So I personally think that this is a step in the right direction. And another thing that I liked about Jim is he did say that he was excited to work with Steiner again. And we all know in a couple seasons, Steiner will take over as GM of the team, which we kind of need. But right now he's like still working with Doug, which is fine. But he knows what he needs to do as the coach, and that is to get this team back to winning. And I just get blown away by this one statistic that I always bring up. But the Blues have only missed the playoffs for 3 consecutive seasons, one time in franchise history, and that was 2005 to 2008. And why do I say that? Why am I mentioning that? Because it might happen again. They've already missed the playoffs 2 consecutive seasons already. And if they don't make it this year, then boom, guess what? You have you have it again. So that's where I get a little bit nervous about the future in a sense of what the Blues are going to do. But I cannot believe that this team is playing the way that they played against some of these metropolitan teams just because they are a little bit more difficult. And it's just, one thing that Holloway said last night that kind of stood out to me about maybe this team and how they're changing was something special. He says, he was talking about how defensively strong and everything was on the transition. And he says, that's definitely how Blues hockey should be played. And it's how we want to play. I think we play that recipe and we'll have success throughout the year. Now, why am I hung up on that quote? And that was a quote that I did highlight. That's how Blues hockey should be played. Were they not playing Blues hockey prior to Jim Montgomery? Maybe I'm reading too much into it, okay? But the way that I took that is there is a culture coming back to this team where there's pride in wearing the blue. And I know they've always had pride in the blue note, but it's one of those things where I get very excited about the future. And even Braden Shen said, we're playing with more confidence. And again, that's another thing where I'm like, wait, this team, all the guys are talking about confidence. And that to me just makes me even more ecstatic. And I just get really happy about that, honestly. Like, there's not a lot to say other than, yeah, no, this team is changing. There is some more confidence. And you can tell that there is a cultural shift within this team. Like, what else could you ask for, honestly? And you win this road trip. Thank goodness you win this road trip because I was a little bit nervous heading into it. But you win this road trip, right? You get 1 loss, 2 wins. Okay, you get 4 out of 6 points. That's fine. You still have a potential because the Central Division, while it's good, it's not like crazy, right? Because the Avalanche haven't been playing as well. Dallas hasn't been playing as well. So the Blues right now sit in 5th, right? They have 23 points. Avs have 26. Stars have 26. Wild have 32, and the Jets have 36. So you're not going to be catching up to the Jets anytime soon. Winnipeg is unbelievable, by the way. I know that we talked about them. 18 wins, 5 losses, and they don't actually have any OTLs, which is kind of interesting. But neither does Dallas, and the Avs don't either. And then you look at a team, and I hate to be like this, but you look at a team like the Nashville Predators, who have 18 points, who are in dead last, and they're even behind like the Blackhawks, which is kind of funny. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you were only 2 games away from catching the Avs and Stars. Now that's if they don't win. And also the Stars have only played 21 games and the Avs have played 23. The Blues have played 24. Everything's all messed up, but you still can catch up and they have time to do that. The NHL schedule is fluky. It's weird, but yeah, putting it into perspective, the Blues are not out. It's literally November 28th. You have time to turn things around. Go on a little bit of a winning streak. Keep on getting those points, OTLs, points, any points. Points are points. You obviously won 2, yeah, but points are points. And I'm not going to be upset if they don't get points. So I'm going to talk to you about my friends at Built, and then I'm going to talk to you about what I'm thankful for part 2, because I have some more. PSA for anyone who rents. If you haven't heard of Built, you're about to thank me. Earning points on rent is now a reality when you play your rent through Built. You don't even have to check with your landlord to start earning points that you can use towards flights, hotel stays, fitness classes, and even your next rent payment. So let me break it down for you. There's no cost to join Built. And as a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent and your everyday spending. Built points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, and even the ones that you haven't heard of. There are 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties around the world that you can redeem your Built points towards. Points can also be redeemed towards a future rent payment and unique experiences that only Built members can access. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, why not? Start earning your points on rent. You're already paying, so just go by jointbuilt.com/LockedOnNHL. That's joinbilt.com/LockedOnNHL. Make sure to use our URL so they know that we sent you at joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNHL to start earning points on your rent payments today. So it's Thanksgiving. I am #thankful. I'm thankful for a lot of things. And yeah, sure, I did talk about a little bit that I'm thankful for. I got all sentimental. I'm thankful for the podcast. Obviously, I love doing this podcast. But I wanted to go into more detail of what I'm actually thankful for. Okay, St. Louis, and I know what you're going to say. Haley, we all know what you're going to say. I said on Twitter at Locked On Blues, I'm thankful that Robert Thomas is a great hockey player. I'm thankful for that the Blues went on this road trip, and New Jersey, what happened? LOL, taking the L. That sums it up. In all honesty, I am very thankful for the players on the team. I know a lot of them might live in Canada, but I know there's also a lot that are, American, blah, blah, blah. And when you're on the road and you're traveling, you don't always get to go home and see your families. And, there's a lot of sacrifices hockey players do make to be in this league. And a great example with Robert Thomas, they said about 4 to 6 weeks he would be out with his fractured ankle, and he got back on the ice 4 weeks very early, right after it happened. And the reason why I kind of bring that up, it's not because I'm trying to continue to talk about it, but it is because he puts in that work to get back on the ice to be healthy so he can better this team and better himself. And I'm thankful for that because there's not a lot of players that have that will and that grit that Thomas does display. And when you have players in your organization that put the team first by putting themselves in a position to be able to be on the ice and execute, it makes me as a fan happy to see that. Like when Dylan Holloway, when he got hit with the puck on his neck, had to get stretched off the ice into an ambulance. Well, he was on the bench, but into the ambulance. And then all of a sudden he's back and he's like, I'm fine. Like, that is something special. And I'm not saying players that just face adversity. Like, there's also players let me go think for a second. Like a Zachary Bolduc, right? That just was so determined this season. I'm thankful for him. I'm thankful for Jordan Binnington. I think that there is so much to be thankful for within our own players, that the sacrifices that they all make, you think about Brandon Saad, who literally had his baby and missed the road trip on the first road trip when they went out to Seattle and out west like that. It's they make all these sacrifices, these players, and I'm not trying to get all sentimental, but it was one of those things I was thinking about I'm like, it's Thanksgiving Eve and I'm watching the Blues play, and some of them may not even get to be with their families. And I know they have a job to do. I know we all have jobs to do. I still worked like my 3 jobs today. But I'm just very thankful for them. I'm thankful for this community. The hockey community is like no other. I've said it all the time. And talking stick and puck every day. Yeah, it's buzzing. The boys are buzzing. No, I'm playing, but I just wanted to express that and my gratitude because I get to come on here and I get to talk hockey every single day, which is the coolest thing in my team's hockey every single day. So I'm thankful. I cannot wait for the Winter Classic. That's like the next big thing that's on my mind. Hopefully the Blues will win. Hopefully. But I'm feeling really good about all these changes, and I'm excited to see what keeps going. I want the boys to keep on rocking and rolling. They have Philadelphia on Saturday, and they're actually going to be playing the Rangers tomorrow, Philadelphia, and then flying out to St. Louis. So it's going to be a quick turnaround of back-to-back. And the crazy thing is they have to get on a plane to do it. So I will have an episode tomorrow, and I will have an episode Saturday for those that know what I do with Philadelphia. Obviously, I have a lot of access, so I'm going to be able to give a really cool, in-depth episode between the two teams. But tomorrow, it's going to be an Are We Feeling Blue Friday, like usual. And my everydayers, I want you to comment below, was this a good week or a bad week for the Blues? In tomorrow's episode, I'm going to break down specifics about players and just some other fun topics because Saturday's episode will be a complete game preview. So we'll have fun. I will talk to you all later. Again, I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. I sincerely mean that from the Locked On family, from the Locked On Blues, and just for myself. I really do appreciate all the comments that you all leave, and I do see them and reply to them. So again, have a happy Thanksgiving. Eat all the delicious food. Enjoy some good hockey over the weekend. And I'll talk to you the next couple of days. And how I end every single episode, like always, let's go Blues.